Well, howdy, and welcome to Thursday's edition of Today's Bread. Now, we are continuing this series on prayers and exhortations in the Psalms with this week's discussion on praying for deliverance. Today's portion, however, is proclaiming God's goodness. Scripture reference Psalm 40, verses 9 through 12. Obedience formed the basis of David's relationship with the Lord, and this relationship led to a deep appreciation for his ways. So, David could not help but speak of God's faithfulness and salvation and publicly proclaim his truth. David's proclamation was the direct result of his gratitude. You see that in verses 9 and 10. Now, the psalmist is an example of a person whose life is filled with praise. He understood the importance of possessing a heart full of gratitude. His psalms are full of an awareness of divine blessing. Although at times David offered complaints to the Lord, he was able to acknowledge God's intervention in the affairs of his life. There is a relationship between gratitude, attitude, and faith. It has been said that life is 90% attitude. The good news is that we choose our attitude, it's our choice. We all have met people who face similar life circumstances and yet possess very different attitudes in the face of those circumstances. A healthy attitude can influence our situations in a very positive way. Attitudes, however, are not formed in a vacuum. The more we spend time considering God's faithfulness in our lives, the more we will become thankful people. This gratitude can transform our attitudes. Our attitudes can in turn affect our faith. The psalm continues in verse 11 with an expression of trust. It is a testimony rather than a plea and reads more literally, Lord, don't hold back your tender mercies from me. My only hope is in your unfailing love and faithfulness. You know, David wrote uh, and he also had confidence. He wrote that and had confidence that God's love and faithfulness would continually preserve him. That is, God would uphold the testimony David gave in the preceding verses to the whole assembly. David continued to give this testimony, not only after God delivered him, but also when new troubles and trials came. You see it in verse 12. You know, when evil people and bad circumstances surrounded him, when his own shameful acts overtook him so he could not see, when they were so many that he lost his courage, he still cried out to the Lord. Thank you, and I pray that you've enjoyed today's edition of Fresh Daily Bread. Have you prayed today? Well, Thursday's prayer focus is for prayer for a culture of true discipleship in the American church. Pray that churches would focus on deep relational, Christ-centered discipleship. Now remember, Jesus is coming back soon. And now here's Thursday's blessing. Yes, we're going through that priestly blessing. Here's today's portion. May the Lord show you his favor